Hi guys, welcome back to another video with me. This is Kaman, and in this video we're gonna read a news article from CNN together. This is an advanced lesson and you will know all the vocabularies and grammars you need to know to fully understand this article, and also you're gonna need these vocabularies and grammar structures to understand the culture of English speaking world. We will analyze each paragraph together and I will take detailed notes. Finally, at the end of this lesson, I will read the article one more time, a little faster at a natural speed, so you can focus on my pronunciation and intonation. Let's get started. Here's the title of today's article. Sony to lay off 900 at PlayStation as tough times for the video games industry persist. Here we have the phrasal verb lay off. This means to stop employing someone because of lack of work or a bad economic situation. This is different than when someone gets fired. Usually you get fired if you have done something wrong at your workspace. But people lay off because there is no job for them or there is no work anymore. If a company wants to downsize or to reduce the costs, the company will lay off the staff. Here we have a grammatical structure that is very common in news articles. Sony to lay off. It's very common to omit the verb be in the news articles. So the actual sentence was Sony is to lay off. But the verb is or the verb be is omitted here. This grammatical structure is be plus to infinitive. This structure is mostly used when we want to, officially or, formally announce that something is going to happen in the future. It sounds more official and professional than just saying Sony will lay off 900 people. Another example would be the president is to make an announcement this week. Tough times is an adjective noun collocation. What is a collocation? Collocation is a group of words that usually come together. In this case, the adjective tough and the noun times create a common phrase, which we call them a collocation, and it means a difficult economic period. Persist is a common verb, and in this context, it means something bad continues to be present or continues to happen. Another example would be tough times persist in the video games industry for many companies. Let's read the first paragraph. Electronics giant Sony announced on Tuesday that it will be cutting 900 jobs, or 8%, in PlayStation's global workforce. The layoffs will impact all regions for Sony Interactive Entertainment, according to the PlayStation press release. With its in-house London studio responsible for the competitive singing video game, SingStar, closing entirely. Here, a giant refers to a large, successful company in its own industry. Sony is a giant. In this context, cut means to reduce the amount of something. We're using the future continuous tense in this text. Will be cutting. It means that something will happen in the future, but not at once. It will continue to happen for a longer period. We're using the future continuous tense here. will be cutting. We're emphasizing that the action will happen over a longer period of time, not all at once. Hopefully, not all at once. A workforce is a group of people who work in the company. Layoffs should look familiar because we've already seen the word layoff. A layoff is the event or the occasion that this action happens. A press release is a company's official statement that gives information to newspapers, TV programs, and radio stations. If something is in-house or something is done in-house, it means that it is done by the employees of a company in a work office. Unfortunately, these days it is hard to find a company that does everything in-house. It's usually cheaper to contract out certain tasks. Contract out is a phrasal verb. Let's keep reading. These are incredibly talented people who have been part of our success, and we are very grateful for their contributions, wrote Jim Ryan, President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. However, the industry has changed immensely, and we need to future ready ourselves to set the business up for what lies ahead. Another common collocation, this time with the adverb incredibly. Incredibly talented. Incredibly means extremely, a lot. And the adverb immensely means very much, a lot, or extremely. For example, we enjoyed the performance immensely, or the company has become immensely popular. Future ready is a verb in this context. It means to make or plan something so a company can quickly identify changes and respond to future changes. You'll often see this as an adjective, to be future ready. Basically, Sony wants to make sure that it make as much money as possible. We have a common phrasal verb here, set up, which means to prepare. Usually, you set something up for something. In some formal context, the verb lie plus a preposition or an adverb, like lies ahead, means to exist. So lie ahead means to exist in the future. No one knows what lies ahead. Next paragraph. The workforce reduction follows the company slashing sales forecast for the year, and Naomi Matsuoka, Sony Senior Vice President, saying the PlayStation 5 console was approaching the latter end of its life cycle, according to Bloomberg. Bloomberg is another popular news company in the US. Slash is the verb you hear a lot in the advertisements and news articles. The literal meaning of a slash is to cut something with a knife or a sword in a very violent way. But here, slashing means to greatly reduce an amount or a price. A forecast is a prediction of what will happen in the future based on the current situation or data. Most of the time, this word refers to a weather forecast or an economic forecast. Here we have a formal adjective ladder, which means to the end of a time period. Next paragraph. Ryan had already announced in September plans to retire in March as Sony Group Corporation president. Hiroki Totoki, the chief operating officer and chief financial officer, will take the reins as the interim CEO. Ryan had already announced. Had already announced is the past perfect tense. The focus is on the relationship between two events in the past. One event is a reference point. The event that happened further in the past or the event that happened first is stated in the past perfect tense. In this sentence, we are comparing when Ryan announced his plans to retire with our reference point which is Sony's recent layoff announcement. This shows that the Ryan's plans to retire happened in an earlier time in the past. You should notice that in American English, the past perfect tense is much more common in formal writings instead of simple past. In this situation, native speakers often use simple past in everyday's conversation. So you could say, Ryan already announced. There is nothing wrong with this sentence. The expression take the reins means to take control of a government or a country. Reins are the straps that you put on a horse's head to control it. Interim means temporary, an interim solution, or an interim president. Next, the new CEO will be facing an entire tech sector in upheaval, as industry giants laid off 5,500 workers within the first 2 weeks of 2024 alone. This is a very important verb when you want to speak English or even write in English. To face. If you face a difficult problem, it means to deal with that problem in a direct way. A sector is a specific area of a company. A tech sector. It means an area dedicated to technology and techs. The tourism sector, the agricultural sector, an upheaval is a major change that causes a lot of anger, confusion, or even disagreements. You'll often hear this word in collocations like social upheaval, economic upheavals, massive upheaval. We have an interesting use of the word alone as an adverb. This is a more formal way to say only or without anything else. The video game industry has been seeing jobs hemorrhage from 2023 into this year as well, with Epic Games cutting 803 jobs last September and Tencent's Riot Games laying off 11% of its workforce in January. Has been seeing. This is the present perfect continuous tense. So it has started in the past, continues today, and it will probably continues in the future. Hemorrhage is very interesting word. A hemorrhage as a noun is a serious medical condition when someone is bleeding a lot and they can't stop or control it. But in this context, we're not obviously talking about blood and medical situations. The verb hemorrhage means to lose a lot of people or money quickly, and you can't stop this from happening. Echoing the leadership of those other game companies, Ryan wrote in his email to employees, "We had to step back, look at our business holistically, and move forward focusing on the long-term sustainability of the company and delivering the best experiences possible for our community." Usually, if a sound echoes, you hear the sound again. But in this context, to echo something means to repeat what someone else has done, or to be similar to something that has happened before. To step back, this phrasal verb means to stop doing something for a while so you can think about it clearly and make better decisions. If you do something holistically, you consider someone or something as a whole, not a separated part. Here we have the adjective long-term. A long-term plan or a long-term goal is a plan that we consider it to happen in a distant future. Sustainability is the noun that comes from the adjective sustain. Now I read the article at a natural speed one more time. Sony to lay off 900 at PlayStation as tough times for the video games industry persist. Electronics giant Sony announced on Tuesday that it will be cutting 900 jobs or 8% in PlayStation's global workforce. The layoffs will impact all regions for Sony Interactive Entertainment, according to the PlayStation press release, with its in-house London studio responsible for the competitive singing video game SingStar closing entirely. "These are incredibly talented people who have been part of our success, and we are very grateful for their contributions," wrote Jim Ryan, president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. However, the industry has changed immensely, and we need to future-ready ourselves to set the business up for what lies ahead. The workforce reduction follows the company's slashing sales forecast for the year, and Naomi Matsuoka, Sony Senior Vice President, saying the PlayStation 5 console was approaching the latter end of its life cycle, according to Bloomberg. Ryan had already announced in September plans to retire in March. As Sony Group Corporation President, Hiroki Totoki, the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer, will take the reins as interim CEO. The new CEO will be facing an entire tech sector in upheaval, as industry giants laid off 5,500 workers within the first 2 weeks of 2024 alone. Specifically, the video game industry has been seeing jobs hemorrhage from 2023 into this year as well, with Epic Games cutting 830 jobs last September and Tencent's Riot Games laying off 11% of its workforce in January. Echoing the leadership of those other game companies, Ryan wrote in his email to employees, "We had to step back, look at our business holistically, and move forward focusing on the long-term sustainability of the company and delivering the best experiences possible for our community."